Hunan province is home to 70 million people and has some of China's most spectacular sights. Zhangjiajie National Park, known as the Avatar Park, has towering sandstone pillars and can be found here along with Tianmen Mountain's Stairway to Heaven and the longest cable car in the world at over 7 kilometers. Hunan is also home to 2 of China's best ancient towns, with Fenghuang and Furong Ancient Cities, and the region is loaded with fun foods and lively locals, making it a must-visit province in China. After Sichuan and Chongqing, Cece and I took the high-speed rail over to the famous city of Fenghuang, also known as Phoenix Ancient City. It was already evening when we arrived. The ancient town is centered around the banks of the river, where village life can be seen in this 1,300-year-old town. There was so much life as we walked alongside the river. Local restaurants and street food vendors are everywhere. The tourists dressing in traditional dress for their evening photo sessions for their social media accounts were out in full force, as Phoenix Ancient City is clearly one of the most coveted ancient cities to visit in all of China. The next morning, I went for an early morning run, and Cece and I walked around to see what the town looked like during the day. In the overcast morning, the town was amazingly quiet, with locals out cleaning the river and less than 1% of the tourists that crowded the streets the night before. It was interesting to see the contrast. However, we quickly learned that the evenings were when China's ancient cities truly come to life. After a short walk around the drizzly town, we got a train up to Furong Ancient City, which is over 2,000 years old and is appropriately known as the Chinese town hanging on a waterfall. Furong was fun to walk through its quiet streets as we headed down to the waterfall on the far side of town. When we came around the bend, we looked back on the wide waterfall which makes the town famous. There's a nice path which took us under the waterfall, and a couple of groups of Chinese tourists were making their way towards the waterfall as well. It's always fun when you can see and walk along the back side of a waterfall. I can't remember seeing a waterfall like this that is literally underneath the town, and we were already glad that we had come to this unique ancient town as we made our way through Hunan. We grabbed a tasty lunch with eggplant noodles and looped our way back through the opposite side of the town. Later on in the evening, we went back out again as ancient towns come to life later on in the day. We grabbed some quick street food as the show was starting in the main square. We weren't really sure what exactly was happening in the performance, as all the explanations were in Mandarin, but there was calligraphy, dancing, and lively music and drumming, telling some story of life in ancient China. The best part of the ancient cities like Furong is simply walking the streets, or in this case, doing a little hopping across some of the unique river crossings, and taking in all the lights and life. We enjoyed some noodles and a legit real waffle cone, made with an entire waffle and ice cream, before walking along and across the river to our hotel. In the morning, I got out for a quick loop of Furong, which was nice and quiet, before heading out of town. I ran all the way around the town and under the famous waterfall one more time before we checked out, and got a train up to Yangjiajie and a ride out to Yuan, which would be our base for one of China's most famous national parks.
I like this room though.
After many hours of research, we had purchased our Yangjiajie National Park tickets and unlimited cable car tickets, and we were ready to enter the famous Avatar Park, which draws around 80 million tourists a year, which are overwhelmingly Chinese tourists. The cable cars are massively impressive in the park.
Just us, nobody in the cable car. Could be the only time this happens the next few days.
And they soar over giant pillars, which is really a highlight of being in the national park. After hours of researching, it was now worth it, as we had sifted through countless websites for how to visit Zhangjiajie National Park, which has multiple entrances miles apart, each with their own cable car options in similar sounding sections of the park, with names like Yuanjiajie and Yangjiajie, is no easy task. The first views of the park are mind-blowing, as nowhere else in the world we have seen has these towering sandstone pillars that raise up hundreds of feet.
Get out of town.
When we got to the top, we started our combo of hiking and taking shuttles to see the lookout areas in the Tanzi Mountain section of the park. Halong Park is where the famous Yubi Peak and Tianzi Pavilion are situated, and it's a must-visit area when exploring Tanzi Mountain. We cruised our way along, trying to hit up every viewpoint along the way and avoid the tour groups, which are often led by a flag-waving leader with a microphone. China's national parks and scenic areas have no shortage of food, and there were tons of local vendors offering up tasty dishes. We wish you could get a hot plate of food like this for $3 or less in a U.S. national park.
How are the noodles?
We took shuttles over to Yangjiajie, part of the park, to take advantage of our unlimited cable car pass and take the gondola ride down and up over the northwestern part of the park. We always think of Europe having gondolas in the mountains, but China's cable cars are equally impressive. China also does a great job of making the park accessible to people of all ages and abilities, as the multiple cable cars and elevators and shuttle buses allow people to see a lot without long hikes. And if you don't want to hike at all, you can even pay men to carry you to the lookouts. To exit the park on our first day, we came over to the Bailong Elevator, the tallest outdoor elevator in the world at over 1,000 feet high. Once in the elevator, we dropped the equivalent of 107 floors in a mere minute and a half. We avoided the pesky monkeys and made our way to the exits, and were eager to get some food, as it had been quite a day, starting in Furong Ancient Town this morning and spending all afternoon navigating our way through two sections of Zhangjiajie National Park. Thankfully, our $20 a night hotel room was literally perched right on top of a nightly street market, which made finding dinner options super convenient. We wandered the lively streets, and settled on some tasty shrimp and seafood patties, fried rice, and a big fruit dish for dessert that had jelly mixed into it.
You good?
The next morning, we were among the first in line to enter the park, as we really wanted to visit the Yuanjiajie area, which is the most popular area of the park. This time we went up the amazing Bailong Elevator and got to stand right against the glass as we shot up 1,070 feet. We hurried up the trail to get ahead of any people behind us, and shockingly we found ourselves completely alone at the most visited section of the park. The quiet and calm in the early morning was lovely, as quiet is hardly ever a word you can use to describe touristic places in China. We walked out to Wuho Peak and looked out at the Avatar Hallelujah Mountain, which is one of about 3,000 peaks and pillars in the park, many of which shoot up over 600 feet high. There were red ribbons tied to trees everywhere, which supposedly helps visitors' wishes to come true and give them a prosperous life. We had a glorious first mile working our way around the viewpoints, and finally we started running into a few people coming from the other direction. Each viewpoint gave us great views looking out at the countless pillars across the park. While national parks in the US prohibit drones, Zhangjiajie had drone rentals where for about $20, a drone pilot would fly a drone taking selfie videos of your choice. China is definitely different. Groups were starting to come in more and more as we made our way through the last couple of lookouts in the Yuanjiajie section. Instead of hopping back on the shuttle bus, we decided to hike all the way down to the lower elevation section of the park. This was a great move as we ditched everyone and got to experience hiking down through the forest, which led us down to the Golden Whip Scenic Trail, another one of the highlights of the park. The Golden Whip stream meanders its way over several miles of the park and is surrounded by lush green trees and pillars that soar up in the sky above it. It's a stunning section of the park with super clear water in the stream that is an easy hike in either direction. For us, it was the perfect way to connect the Yuanjiajie section with the Huangshi section of the park. Next, we got up on the Huangshi cable car to cruise up to the final section of the national park. Huangshi Village offers some of the best panoramic views in the entire park. As soon as we got out on the trail, more curious monkeys joined us along the way, looking for handouts. We were now looking directly across from where we'd been earlier in the morning. We made our way past humorously translated lookouts with names such as Saint Elephant View and Divine Elephant Watching Battle. We were soaking in the views as this would be our final section of all the sections in Zhangjiajie National Park. We were most of the way through the loop when we got to the Echo Wall, where a Chinese guy was leading his group to test out just how well the Echo Wall worked. We continued on and stumbled upon a group of monkeys who were surprisingly taking an afternoon swim in a pool of water under some trees. We worked our way around the last few lookouts, and we were sad to be leaving this unique national park. But in a solid day and a half, we had seen every region of the park and hiked to nearly all the main lookouts. We took our final cable car down over the giant pillars and were serenaded on our way out of the park by a lady with her own traveling karaoke cart. For dinner, it was back out to the street market in front of the hotel for some noodles, steak and eggs, and tropical fruit. The next morning, after a run, we shifted bases, which is about 45 minutes away. We dropped off our things and walked over to get in line for the longest cable car in the world, at over 7 miles long. Tianmen Mountain is the other clear main attraction of this region, and although the 278 yuan or $38 entry and gondola ticket is a bit pricey, it's absolutely a must-do if you have a good weather day. The cable car ride is amazing. It lasts a whopping 28 minutes and takes you from right in the middle of the city up to the jungly mountains south of town and gains over 4,000 feet and is considered to be the steepest cable car in all of China. Finally, after the longest gondola ride of our lives, we stepped out on the cliff trails that led us around the perimeter of the mountain. We decided to go counterclockwise on our route on the top of Tianmen Mountain, and we quickly got to the West Glass Plank Road. We are literally looking straight down 2, 3, 4,000 feet. It's a long ways down there. For 5 yuan, or less than $1 each, we paid for our purple shoe covers, which are required to walk out on the glass plank. Walking the glass plank was really crowded, but it was cool to be able to look down thousands of feet below you at the face of the mountain. After 100 yards or so, we returned our purple shoe covers and got back on the normal hiking paths. As per the usual in China, you never hike on dirt, and I wonder how much time it took to build these amazing paths which cling to the sides of the mountain and give you fantastic views in all directions. We crossed bridges and walked by more awkwardly translated signs. After a bit longer, we came up to Tianmen Temple, which is built over 200,000 square feet and goes on and on with its various courtyards. It's really an extensive complex perched on the backside of Tianmen Mountain that was built in the Tang Dynasty over 1,200 years ago. After the vast temple complex, we were back out on the paths, now on the east side of the mountain, which was equally as impressive. The path slowly makes its way around the outside of the mountain on the same style of trail which is perched thousands of feet above the lush greenery down below. We climbed up to several of the highest lookouts on the loop, with names like Immortal Source and Cloud Buckling Barrier, as we got closer to completing the circuit, which would bring us back towards the cable car on the north side. There were now loads of people on this section close to the entrance of the cable car, as this part requires the least amount of walking to access. We had completed the entire loop, and now it was time to find the famous escalator, which would transport us down from the mountain summit to Tianmen Cave. This is the world's longest mountain escalator and is made up of 12 escalator segments running for an amazing nearly 3,000 feet and can transport 3,600 people per hour. We definitely had never been on an escalator this long, and the never-ending ride down was fun as loads of excited Chinese tourists kept the atmosphere lively. Finally, we emerged from the giant escalator out the exit to the bottom of Buddha's Cave, which at 431 feet high is the world's highest naturally formed arch. We admired the cave for a couple of minutes, but were ready to get down to the final and perhaps most famous part of Tianmen Mountain, the Stairway to Heaven. The Stairway to Heaven is made up of 999 steep steps, making up the giant staircase from the Buddha Cave down towards the entrance plaza. It has 999 steps because the number 9 is lucky and supreme in Chinese culture, representing eternity and good fortune, and all who climb or descend these steps should receive blessings from experiencing the Stairway to Heaven. We thankfully had purchased the Ticket A option, which meant that we could finish our day coming down the Stairway to Heaven, whereas the Ticket B people were coming up the Stairway to Heaven. The stairs were steep, and we carefully worked our way down the top section. This is not an easy stairway, as the stairs are tiny and the sections are up to 37% incline, which is really steep, forcing many people to hold on to the rails or even crab walk their way up or down. After exactly 999 stairs, we finally got down to the massive welcome plaza. What an experience. We made our way across towards the exit, and still had another mile or so to walk before getting to the final cable car, which is fairly short compared to the 7-kilometer world's longest cable car that we took to get up the mountain. Next, it was time for the final shuttle to get us back down to where our amazing Tianmen Mountain experience was over. It was time to get out to explore the city a bit and find some food. Being a Chinese city, there were several dancing groups out in the early evening, burning some calories and having some fun. After crossing back over the bridge, we found some tasty dinner outside with eggplant and chicken dishes. It had definitely been a memorable day.
Is it good?
The next morning I got out for a run around the river. Before we hit the road to take a train over to the next province. Hunan province is amazing. The ancient towns of Phoenix and Furong are lively and simply a joy to visit. The Zhangjiajie area, with its world-class national park, along with Tianmen Mountain, are two of China's most impressive sights. Hunan province was one of our favorites that we visited in our 40 days we spent in the beautiful country of China.